Hello, everyone, and welcome to Second Sunday. Join us today for art making fun inspired by artworks from the Cantor and Anderson collections. We would also like to spend some time to announce that the Anderson collection will be open again September 22nd. Come join us to see artworks by Sam Richardson in person. Using a plastic bottle and paper mache, we are going to sculpt a sea creature of your choosing, or of your imagination that could live in one of Sam Richardson's landscapes. First, grab a plastic bottle, then add fins and other appendages with cardboard and tape. After that, mix flour and water to make the paper mache medium and soak strips of newsprint in the medium and cover the bottle with those strips. Don't forget to scrape off the extra goo on the strips. Once you let your sculpture dry, you can paint it. While you are thinking about what to make, let me tell you more about the artist and his work. Sam Richardson was born in Oakland, California in 1934. He was fascinated by the natural world around him. In art school, he was drawn to making landscapes. Plastics were introduced when he was a student at San Jose State University. Painted landscapes were well known, but he began creating sculptural landscapes from these materials that gave the art a distinct polished finish. Richardson created art that allowed the viewer to get lost in nature. You won't see any streets, buildings, or freeways in his sculptures. You will just see the simplicity of mountains, the oceans, and open space. Here we see Sam Richardson's artwork called "Most of That Iceberg is Below Water." Notice how it looks like an iceberg in the ocean. Much like a real iceberg, you can see the iceberg has most of the ice underwater. This means when we look at an iceberg, there is so much we don't see under the surface. Imagine a little seal perched on top of the little iceberg, sunbathing. Sam Richardson created three-dimensional landscapes different from traditional landscape paintings by replicating landscapes that were often unseen. In today's activity, we will use paper mache as a sculpting medium and a plastic bottle to emulate Sam Richardson's artistic style. Though Richardson didn't work with paper mache, Sam conveyed his love of nature through his work in resins and acrylics. The artwork, "Most of That Iceberg is Below Water," shows the icy beauty of what could be the North Atlantic or Arctic oceans. We will focus on making a sea creature that could live in one of the oceans inspired by Sam Richardson's artwork, to connect with and think about the value of nature in our lives. Express your own artistic point of view by choosing a sea creature that you love. This artwork is also part of the new exhibition of Sam Richardson's work. Look at all those colors. What do they remind you of? Have you seen these colors in nature? This piece reminds me of looking out at the sunset over the ocean. The wavy line reminds me of the ocean waves. This sculpture is a simple cube, and look at how much it can represent to us. Though Richardson's work can appear simple with clean shapes and lines, you can find amazing things in the details. This artwork of his is called "Dawn Over That Guy's Sand Dune." You can see here, this line is actually filled with foam. The sculpture comes apart with a hidden set of rolling hills inside, and the slice of foam separates the cube on the outside of this sculpture with the landscape of the inside. In this piece, Sam Richardson is using the entire environment, not only so we can see a mountain, but in the title, Sierra Snow, Basin Rim Full Moon, we learned Sam is also using light to illuminate what we can see. The Sierra refers to the Sierra mountain range, just a few hours from the Bay Area where we are now. Have you ever visited a mountain range? The full moon allows us to see so much more of the world around us. When the moon is full, you can see the plants, the hills, the mountains, the desert, and even animals at night. Usually, these things are hidden from us, just like that iceberg below the water. The moon creates a natural light so we can see our landscape and appreciate the beauty of nature. Sam Richardson once said, "I'm a landscape artist, but rather than simply recording the nature, I seek to use nature by taking the landscape as a visual theme within which to treat surfaces, make marks, paint colors, manipulate scale, and place shapes on one another. In terms of content, I take our universal relationship with the land, not to tell a story, but to suggest a familiar experience, an illusion that will lead one to ponder rather than know." The environment is constantly changing, as it has been for millions of years. This has produced a wide range of different habitats that all sorts of plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms live in. Recently, humans have had a significant impact on the environment by building large cities and extensive agricultural land. More people today live in cities than in rural environments. So many people do not often get to see or experience the natural beauty the planet has to offer. It can also be hard to see sometimes how life in the city can have an impact on these other environments. The effect humans have on the planet extends to the oceans. There is a real problem with plastic waste that ends up in the oceans of our planet. Plastic left on the street or thrown in the garbage can find its way from rivers to the ocean. Because plastic doesn't easily degrade, it can accumulate, where there is a lot of plastic in the ocean that can affect the wildlife. Human activity doesn't just make a mess, it also impacts the climate. The ice on our planet is melting, and the beautiful icebergs and Arctic wildernesses on our planet are disappearing. It will be so sad to see such beauty disappear. You can see here the color palette of the iceberg picture. See how many different blues it has. A lot of sharks have bluish skin on the tops of their bodies in order to blend in with the blue of the ocean. All of this may sound scary, but there are things you can do to help. You can help by recycling your waste instead of using the garbage. You can also upcycle and repurpose trash for things like art projects, just like what we are doing today. You can also volunteer to help your community by cleaning up and making a better environment for everyone. By doing these things, you can help the plants, animals, fungi, and even teeny tiny microorganisms on our planet that we share. They would really appreciate the help. What animal will you choose for your project? Does it swim like a fish or a dolphin? Or does it float like a jellyfish? Will it be the size of a crab or as big as a whale? Also, is it happy or sad? One of the best parts about making art is sharing it with others and seeing how your art inspires their ideas. let's see other artists and their interpretation.
We're gonna do paper mache today. Look at that. We're cutting out fins for a shark. You can see the shark in the upper left-hand corner. And then we're gonna make our mache paste with a cup of flour and a cup of water. And then we're gonna stick the fins on the bottle. That'll be our structure. And we're cutting out paper into strips, and we're dipping it in the paste, and we're putting it on the bottle. And we're going to do it layer after layer after layer after layer. We're going to do lots of layers, and it's okay. It will get messy. As you can see, there's going to be drippy drippy all over. You probably want to do it on a clean counter. And don't be afraid to get messy, because this will all wash out. It is just flour and water. Oh boy, look at all those layers. And you can sculpt different kind of features on your sea creature that you're gonna make. So you can add tentacles or feelers or eyeballs. It's all up to you. But here I'm just doing a shark, and I'm adding more layers. More. You can see it gets rather messy, rather gloopy. And then we're going to put it out to dry for a bit. Yep, we got to let it dry before we paint it. 24 hours later. Oh, there it is. It's all dry. Imagine that. And we got our paint. We got our white, which we're going to do a base coat with. We're going to do white first so that it has a nice, clean and, well, not clear, but opaque white surface to paint on. And this will block out some of the newsprint so it doesn't show through as much, which would be nice, in my opinion. But you don't have to. It's up to you. And we're going to let it dry. The paint got to dry. Do. Twiddling my thumbs. Boop, boop, boop. And then we're going to come back. Oh, there we are. And we're going to start painting the shark. We're going to use blue mostly, but a little red for some darker color. Look at that. We're going to start dark with the edges of the fin. I think you can see it in the shark picture over there. And then we're going to add the light blue. Look at that. Light blue, light blue, light blue. And you can see the lighter blue, or the blue is on top, but it still has a whitish kind of belly. So we're painting the top blue, and then we're going to do sort of a grayery blue tone in the middle. Look at that. Doop, 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 doop. And then I think, what are we doing next? We're going to add a little white on the belly and blend that back in. And then what are we doing? Oh, we're doing the eyes and the gills. Oh, and it's got freckles all over. Look at that. Look at that. And then what? Oh, a mouth. Oh, we gotta have a mouth. Sharks are known for their big gaping mouths. Oh, look at that. Nom, 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 nom. And I'm using the end of my paintbrush to do a little bit on the eyes. What are we doing? And then we're gonna add the teeth. Look at that. Rah, 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 rah. The picture doesn't have big teeth, but I like big, scary teeth. Look at that. All right. Well, you guys have fun now.
Hello everyone, I hope you're enjoying Second Sunday. For my sea creature, I decided to make a sea star. I cut it and traced it out freehand, so that I would get a more organic shape, like the ones you find in nature, not a perfect star. Then, I curled the edges over, taped them, and started covering the star with wet newspaper. I only had whole wheat flour to make the paper mache paste, but there were a lot more crumbs than I thought there would be. I used short strips to get a nice thick covering on each arm, and then long strips to wrap and keep everything in place. Cut more paper. Now I added more pieces and make sure to cover up all the cardboard that you could still see. Here I wrap some really long strips to make the center nice and strong, and then I covered the arms one more time. I also invited some younger cousins to make their own projects. My sea star reminded my cousin Isabella of Patrick from SpongeBob, so she decided to make SpongeBob SquarePants. Here, we can see her start to cover SpongeBob with paper mache. She didn't have as many curves, so she could use nice long strips to cover everything nicely. Unfortunately, my phone died a little later, so we won't get to see her finish. Another cousin, on the right, is making a cartoon-like shark. After I let my project dry for a day, I mixed white paint with a little bit of red to get this nice pink, and I started to paint the sea star. I realized I didn't have enough paint to cover all of it, so I made sure I got at least 2 coats on the top part. Here, I let it dry between coats, then I put more paint on top. I ended up having enough paint to get the edges a little bit. Enjoy working on your project, and make sure to mix colors if you can.
Look at the final artworks that our educators made. Do you feel inspired now to make your own artwork? I hope you have as much fun making art as the educators. Thank you so much for participating, and we hope you all have a fun day. Until next time, we'll see you on the original second Sunday.